Every week seems to be a new bearish thesis for the AI market, especially Nvidia. A few weeks ago, we had DeepSeek. Then we had the fears that AI capex was going to decrease. And now we're hearing reports that OpenAI has created its own AI chip and is going to reduce the dependency of Nvidia. Now, too long, don't watch. I don't believe OpenAI is going to be able to make a chip anytime soon that's going to help decrease its dependency of Nvidia. On today's episode, I'm going to explain why, but obviously this is something that we're seeing all big tech companies do, right? Every big tech player is designing their own AI chip. So there has to be some truth behind it. But I'm going to say that all these companies, while they are designing their own AI chips, they are going to buy Nvidia's chips plenty and plenty of times over. And that's because Nvidia just keeps innovating. And as long as Nvidia keeps innovating, this is not something that investors should worry, in my opinion. So on today's episode, I want to cover that, plus some other AI news impacting the overall market. So let's get started. But before we go anywhere, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for special offer at fool.com/Jose, and check out my free special daily newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
Before we get started, guys, I do want to say thank you all for the support. I've been out for the past 3-4 days. I believe I haven't done a video since Friday, and it is Monday evening. I did catch the flu and it hit me like a truck. So I've just been resting. Hopefully you can't tell too much, but I'm still feeling it. But I wanted to release some videos, especially as we get some updates like this, right? Of OpenAI developing their own AI chips and some other news impacting the overall AI market that I just wanted to share my overall thoughts. So first, Nvidia has been having some great days, right? Back to $133. In the past 5 days, the stock is up over 14%. Congratulations to all that were not scared of the DeepSeek drama. Now, year to date, the stock is still down about 3.4%. I believe we're going to be very volatile until we get earnings. But more importantly, I think GTC is going to be the big event for Nvidia. Let's kind of talk about this AI news from OpenAI. So there are reports coming out that OpenAI is finalizing its custom AI chip design ahead of 2026 launch. Some cool things to note is that this chip is now going to enter tape out phase, which is normally the final step before manufacturing. And once it gets manufactured, it's going to be moved by TSMC using chip makers 3nm technology. A few things to note here before we get worried about Nvidia and we get worried about all these AI players is tape out, especially for a first-timer chip company, not even the chip company, is going to be very, very hard work. It doesn't mean it's going to be successful. It might look successful at first, but after a few validations, after a few other stuff, there might be some hiccups along the way. Outside of that, then you have the manufacturing push, right? They're going to be able to manufacture to TSMC, but how much supply can TSMC provide when they already have sold a good portion of their 3nm capacity to some of their big players like Apple and Nvidia, right? So no matter if you're able to build a chip, can you mass produce it to the levels that Nvidia can, right? So things like that need to also come into question. Remember, and it's not just about designing the chip. You have to design the software behind it, right? Because if you just had to design a better chip, AMD would definitely be making a lot more money. So it's important to understand that just designing a chip is not going to be game over for Nvidia. And it's very, very crucial to remember that. Now, OpenAI reportedly has 40 people working on this custom chip. And they have some big players, and they're working with Broadcom, obviously. Broadcom is the helper of Google's TPUs, but 40 people compared to the massive amount of NVIDIA team has for chip designs, right? I'm pretty sure 40 is nothing compared to what NVIDIA has, right? So how can you compare yourself, or how can you combat a behemoth like NVIDIA with only 40 people? Now, they do mention that the custom chip will be capable of both training and running AI models. its deployment will initially be modest and the chip will have limited role within the company's infrastructure. And this is what I feel most companies say because they don't want to seem like a complete failure. When usually a new company designs a new AI chip or a new chip in general, they're going to say, hey, look, it's going to be used for all these cool things right off the bat. But the first generation, we're just going to put it in the initial phase somewhere down here where it really won't matter much. So this is why I want to say we get a lot of fear about OpenAI creating a new chip. But in my opinion, this fear just adds volatility and noise to the stock. I really wouldn't be worried about their first generation, second generation, especially if Nvidia is continuing to innovate at a yearly cadence. At a yearly cadence, no ASIC GPU is going to be able to combat against Nvidia. The only closest, in my opinion, is Google, and Google still buys a lot and a lot of Nvidia GPUs. What I thought was pretty interesting, though, is that OpenAI does have some great people working on the chip. It seems like they have some players from Google. They also have some players from Amazon with their AWS Trainium. So they do have people with experience to build servers. So overall, definitely bullish for companies like Broadcom and TSMC, as they will be able to get more revenue from other customers, right? TSMC will be able to provide more capacity and will have a reason to invest in more capacity. Broadcom, if they are successful, once it goes in ramp production, will be able to get a nice revenue off that, very similar to Google's GPU. And for Nvidia, though, like I mentioned, I really wouldn't be too worried, as in my opinion, there is not going to be a threat for Nvidia anytime soon. Now, that's all I have to talk about that, but there are a lot of other cool updates impacting the overall AI space. The first thing is we heard earlier today that France, the French president mentioned that they're planning to invest $112 billion over the coming years on AI investments. So obviously that could be bullish, as we're seeing the United States recently did the Stargate program with SoftBank and some other players, and we're seeing globally investments of AI, which is obviously going to be bullish for companies like Nvidia that provide that AI infrastructure. Now, some other AI news, and there's a lot of AI drama happening with OpenAI. This one isn't drama. So SoftBank is set to invest $40 billion in OpenAI at $260 billion. This happened last Friday, but like I mentioned, I was sick, so I didn't really talk about it much. But I'm just curious to see how long it's going to take before ARM stock drops, because the only way that SoftBank is going to be able to fund that is to sell ARM holdings, right? They hold a good portion of this. The company has a market cap of 170 billion. If they sell about 20% of their shares, 30% of their shares, they would be able to build up that 40 billion in cash pretty quickly. The side effect is, what will that do with the stock price? But I do believe SoftBank is going to start unloading a lot of ARM holding shares. Now, some other things that I wanted to mention is DeepSeek AI model is the best work out of China, but the hype is exaggerated, Google's DeepMind CEO says. So there is a podcast here that I would recommend you looking at it. And Google's DeepMind CEO says that, hey, look, they did some pretty cool stuff, but it's not anything necessarily new or revolutionary. And this is something that we've kind of understood before here in this channel, where the AI market is not dead because of DeepSeek. On the other hand, it's actually even stronger. So final semiconductor news that I have before I have two questions for you is TSMC is expected to increase its investments in Arizona facility, likely to drive up production figures aligned with Trump's ambitions. So there have been talks that Trump might be planning on doing tariffs to TSMC. So TSMC, I guess in response, is going to try to get on the good side and maybe build up more manufacturing capacity faster here in the United States to kind of bypass those tariffs, or to kind of play good with the current president, right? So maybe might affect TSMC's margins in the short term, but in the long term, we can definitely see TSMC potentially building more capacity in the United States at a faster rate. Now, there are two companies that I was going to ask if you guys want me to do earnings call on another video. First is Astera Labs. Astera Labs is very popular. It's down roughly 4.5% after reporting earnings. And we can see from its overall high, the stock is down nearly 30%. The other one is Semtech. Semtech dropped 31%. And Semtech actually used to be someone that Nvidia used to use for one of their configurations in the Grace Blackwell. But with the recent changes that Nvidia has made, they are no longer as strong player in that market. And now that they reported earnings, the stock is down roughly 31%. So let me know if you guys want me to do earnings on any of those. The final thing is, it's wild. Elon Musk offered to buy OpenAI for $97.4 billion. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of drama here with the OpenAI. It's never boring news with the AI market. But if you are an Nvidia investor, key takeaways are you shouldn't be worried about OpenAI's A6 chip, and you should see that more investments are coming for the AI market. So overall, I'm just excited before earnings. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.